It's getting a little colder. Sorry. So, hi everyone. It's like almost 4 o'clock in the morning where I live. I made this. Well, I painted it at All Fired Up 2016, probably. Because I think this is what I did the first time. I feel like I went twice. I went with my sister Flor, and then some of us got bubble tea after before we went back. And I went back again. Because I think I did that one the first time, and then I did the little shot glasses. And then I did the plate and the cup. So that was more than one time being there. Anyway, I didn't have to, but I wore this today. And I was like, this is kind of the vibe. I love the solid, colorful shirt with like the multicolor. These shoulders almost look padded, but they're not. That's probably because I had the sleeves rolled up a little bit. Yeah, yeah. That rounded out the shoulders a little bit. It's like patchwork, multicolor, and then I was like, gotta go with the blue contacts, right? So this is the vibe. I almost wore one blue and one yellow, but I just wore two blue. That was the original vibe. It's about colors and contrast. So it is Libra season. I feel like Holly's birthday might have been yesterday. I think Holly's a September Libra, or the twins are September Libra. Somebody's a September Libra. Happy Libra season. Happy birthday to the Libras. I got my Cheetos and my honey buns. This video isn't sponsored. This is actually the first time I'm using this. And that was, I think, the first time I used that shot glass. It might have been the second time, technically. No, because I don't think I drank anything. I remember I took them with me on my trip to Michigan to get like a picture of them on the beach or whatever, because they're like tiki shot glasses. But I don't think I actually used them because I don't think I drank on that trip. Besides the cherry ice wine that we had at Cherry Republic, that was amazing. Speaking of, I need to get me another bottle. Anyway, so I'm going to do that seasonal thing that I do sometimes. It's Libra season now. We got sun, almost the moon. No, the moon is almost in Aries. It just hit Pisces, I think. But we got the sun, Mars, and the south node. Mercury might be hitting Libra at some point. I don't know. I got to find my iPad so I can get on Time Nomad. But anyway, I'm going to use the Astro Matrix Tarot and the Star Dragon Oracle cards. And we're going to do that thing where it's like 3 cards for what Virgo season gave us. 1 card for like the beginning of Libra season, and then 3 cards for Libra overall. And then I guess I'll pull 1 Star Dragon for Virgo. Excuse me, and 1 Star Dragon for Libra. One for Virgo, 1 for Libra. How was Scorpio season last year? I think, was Scorpio season rough last year? Because like the sun is going to be illuminating the south node, and I guess opposing the north node, as Mars is going to be conjuncting the south node. Oh, there's wine in there, by the way. I got the Blackberry Merlot, so it's pretty good. It's pretty tasty. I'm a fan. I was going to drink some water because I don't think I've really had any today. I know. But then I saw the Blackberry Merlot, and I was like, that sounds more fun. So anyway, we're gonna see what is it's been Libra season for a few days, I think. I think the 23rd, early in the morning. Early in the morning. No. 'Cause when did I go to work? 26th. Yeah, maybe the 23rd, early in the morning. We're going to get these first, and I'm going to pull them face down. So this one is Virgo season. This one is Libra season. Bottom of the deck is Invention, Burning with Passion, number 11. Oh, this thing is weird. It ain't even Sagittarius. What's up with this centaur dragon? The Singen. The Dragtar. 11. Oh, that's 2. Oh, they have Roman numerals and non-Roman numerals. Invention, burning with passion. Centaurus is the constellation, and then Centaurus is the star, or Rigil Centaurus. Rigil, Rigil, Centaurus. Wisdom of the Herald. Feel the fire of passion and vital energy arise from your core. Time to take action. Time to burn with vitality. Allow your passions to rise to the surface as you prepare to embark on a new endeavor fueled by the deepest core of your being. So that kind of is a little bit like Sun, Mars, one of the nodes. I mean, I guess since they're polar opposites, maybe it could be either. But that's definitely a lot of Sun, Mars. And then nodal because it's the deepest core of your being. Let it burn bright and strong, just like the star. We looked for 2 stars last time I was live. From your very core, invention pours out of you, racing to fill the dark night sky with light and energy untold. Create, be fulfilled, masterfully craft your vision as you bring something new to life. There is no room for shyness or hesitancy. Master your craftsmanship and harness your creative brilliance. The time is now. Star Dragon Invocation. Undertake a new creative endeavor that fills you with passion and excitement. This must be something that exhilarates you to the core. Tackle the new project. Create something amazing. Dazzle the world with your masterful brilliance. Shine your light with a vengeance as your vision comes to life. Ooh, I'm about to eat a honey bun. That's why I reached out here. It's my last honey bun. I forgot I had these until I was at the store. I was like, oh, I got honey buns at home. Ooh, King of Wands at the cup. I mean, I just randomly picked up a card. Talking about harnessing your passion. Venus, ooh, Venus and Leo, sextiling Sun, Moon, sextiling Sun, Mars, South Node, and Aquarius, in Libra, obviously, Libra season. And that would be an opposition, Leo and Aquarius. But maybe that's part of the energy. Something that would be in opposition instead being in a sextile. And maybe that's not South Node energy. Maybe if we take a Chiron in Aries opposition approach. I wonder how far from Chiron the North Node is. It feels like a South Node, not in a way that we typically, not in a way that I've typically heard the South Node at least referenced. But the Sun Mars South Node is opposing the North Node in Aries. And then we actually do see a little lizard, the salamander, which could be like a baby dragon in some ways, you know. What was opposing is sextiling. So it's like South Node actually gives us an opportunity. I was gonna say if it's a healed Chiron situation, then that would make sense. It's like after you've attained a certain level of healing and self-integration, it's when your shadow doesn't work against you, it actually works with you. And so the things that used to hold you back or be your downfall now instead become a strength or part of your strength. Becomes, I don't want to say a tool, becomes a reliable source that you can consult for guidance, assistance, aid, whatever. And it's because of that healed dynamic in relationship. So, Six of Swords and the High Priestess. Into the unknown or out of it. Because, I mean, when I look at them, they're sailing towards the High Priestess. But when I hold them up, the High Priestess is at their back. Like, I'm looking at them like this because I turn them in to look at them. All right. Virgo season and ooh, 3 cards. What was that? So flashy and acrobatic. Speaking of Leo, it came out in reverse, but I'll take it up right. We just saw strength. Hangman Magician strength because it was the halo that became the infinity sign above the magician that became the infinity sign above strength. And this deck, it's actually above both the woman and the lion. In the Witch's Tarot, it was strictly above the magician because he was the only one in that card, and then strictly above the woman. Given like a masculine and feminine, maybe? I don't know. I mean, I guess ultimately that's how it ended up reading. One was about creating, the other one was about receiving and involvement that wasn't directorial, I guess, in nature. Oh, are all 3 of these one? So the second card of Virgo season is actually 4 cards. 9 of Cups, Jupiter and Pisces, Sextile, 6 of Pentacles, Moon and Taurus. And then there's the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Wands. 9 of Cups, 6 of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, Ace of Wands is the second card for Virgo season. So altogether, there's an energy of wish fulfillment that requires us to give something and to receive something. And in that interaction, exchange, in that exchange, there is a depth of passion and emotion that is unlocked, or the well is dug even deeper. Also in this deck, the Ace of Cups is levitating. I can't even think of the Dua Lipa song. I need you, moonlight, whatever. I'm levitating. And then the Ace of Wands is here. There's something about force here. I just saw something on, I'm pretty sure Facebook, some meme thing. Did you see that? RIP for that drop of wine. It just went right up the corner of my mouth. Just like the Ace of Cups. Oh my gosh. It was like, you can't force me to do anything. And then it was like 9.81 M over S squared or something like that. Whatever force is. Force is what? Work times distance? Well, M would be the distance. Is work per second? Or is it per second squared? F equals ma, mass times acceleration. Acceleration is per second squared because velocity is per second, right? So m per second squared, question mark. And I think 9.81 is gravitational force. Let's see. Gravitational force. Gravitational constant. That's what I'm looking for. Gravitational constant. No. Hold up, wait, this is big G. No, it's little g. 9.80665 meters per second squared. So yeah, it is meters per second squared. Because it's the acceleration. That helps me. I was like, yeah, acceleration is meter per second squared because velocity is meters per second. So, acceleration due to gravity, 9.81. Have I ever used this? Newton meter squared per kilogram squared? Probably. Its value is 9.8 meters per second squared on Earth. That is to say, the acceleration of gravity on the surface of the Earth at sea level is 9.8 meters per second squared. There are slight variations in that depending upon location, because it's either further or closer to the core of the Earth. And the core of something was mentioned at its deepest core. But are we talking like molten core? Or are we talking like solid core? Clorinda! Hello, how are you doing? You just made my night. Thank you. How are you doing today? Now I want Cheetos. I just get a little bit. Live is going to be whatever it is. This is the official, unofficial Libra, whatever video. I know I got these contacts. I don't know if it's the new solution because I bought a new solution, but they kind of like stung a little bit going in. They kind of burned a little bit. I had to dab my eyes with a paper towel. I kind of like them, but I feel like they're really flat. Like, I don't know. I feel like my eyes are kind of dead. Glad to hear it. I'm tired. Oh, hold up. I just got a light bulb. Really? Oh, there's like, I don't know. Different. I'll tell you. I'll message you later. basically, I work for a global company now, and I'm trying to, not trying to, I am going to visit different like planets and locations and stuff as I travel. So I was like, oh, I wonder if there's one in Australia. There has to be. And then I was like, oh, I should look into it and see. So yeah, and it's just something I don't know that I get to do now. So that's cool. This video is not sponsored by Chester the Cheetah, and all views and opinions are my own. This is so good. Like hot Cheetos are pretty good, but the cheddar jalapeno, like hot Cheetos have more heat, but in my opinion, the cheddar jalapeno has more flavor or a better flavor. Oh, snap. Okay, now I'm like, all right. And I might have like, I don't know, it's fine. I guess, yeah. Okay, so real quick, as I digress. Well, the Ace of Cups and the Nine of Cups, that's 10 cups. 10 cups, 6 pentacles, and a wand. No swords here. No swords so far, but Libra season might bring all the swords, so you know. Ooh, I'll go out. My cup is almost empty. Ooh. I feel like the wine just hit me. What was I about to say? Yeah. So I got a new job, one that I like a lot more than the last. Like the last job was the perfect. Oh, that's what I was going to say. In life, I seem to be in this period of number one, challenging myself. Number two, facing fears. And that was, well, I guess it was 2 days ago now, because yesterday is yesterday's yesterday. It's a new day. So I'm like facing fears and challenging myself on one hand. And on the other hand, I'm being like, yeah, we will for sure. Um, but it's like there are a lot of resources at the company that I work for now that is so far up my alley in terms of like continuing to learn and acquire skills and stuff like that, but also just like in terms of like seeking out opportunity and advancing your career in a way that like you want to or that works for you. And there are all these resources that I really need to take advantage of, because I guess South Node, Patrick. Oh, ooh, the North Node is sextiling my South Node, trining my North Node. My nodal axis is Gemini, Sagittarius, North Node, Sagittarius, South Node, Gemini. So my North Node is trining the North Node, my South Node is trining the South Node. But in the past, it's like I would see opportunities like that and then not even take them for reasons of like fear and just like getting into the what if spiral. And it's like, oof, better to be safe, better to play it safe and just stay home. And for the time, it made sense. And it doesn't make sense anymore because life is different. Like I woke up. I did go to sleep. And I was like, the point that I'm at now is like, there was a version of me that didn't even want to live to see 25. And now I'm 30. And life is like beyond what I had the capability to even dream of then. And like life is still just starting. You know what I mean? Like we ain't even really started yet, and it's already vastly beyond what I could have imagined or dreamed before. Because my life situation and circumstance was my life situation and circumstance, and I couldn't see past it or beyond it. And so now I have to both face fear and challenge myself and accept challenge. Um, and yeah, it's like, especially like within the past day, 6:30 p.m. Monday to basically 6 o'clock a.m., like 5:30 a.m. Tuesday morning. That's 12 hours. Yeah, from 6 p.m. Monday to 6 p.m. Tuesday. Wow, that all happened in the same shift. I guess it did. Yeah, it did. Wow. Anyway, um, it just like it was both, like 6 to 6:30, like 6:30 to like 6:45 was the opportunity challenge, and then 5 to 5:30 was the facing of fear challenge. And in facing the fear, like there are fears that I've had for so long in my life because they were relevant when my circumstance was different. But now that my circumstance is drastically changed, it takes, it has taken me more or less up to this point being forced to do things to discover that those fears are now less grounded because I'm not like challenged as difficultly as I was before. Like I'm differently affected now, differently abled. I'm differently abled now than I was before. And I don't know, because of fear. Again, fears that made sense at one time. But because of those fears and because I held them for so long, I don't I don't create opportunities, I guess. I don't, in a non-manifesting, blah, 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 whatever, in a non-metaphysical way. I don't create opportunities to challenge old fears. I get triggered into being forced to take it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can do this now. What? And then it's this Ace of Cups, Ace of Wands thing. Anyway, so yeah, right. I was just thinking, so my best friend, the Virgo one, the one that I do the podcast with, she used to call me Fish because she knew I was a Pisces, but she couldn't remember my name. And every time she called me Fish, I was like, oh, that's so like, what I thought it was cool. Like I was into it because I'm like, yeah, I'm a Pisces. But she was like, I couldn't remember your name. And I was like, oh, well. Oh. And she told me that because we met in the 8th grade, and then in high school, we saw each other more and became friends. So she told me that maybe like 3 years after we met, 3 to 4. And she was like, yeah, I used to call you Fish because I couldn't remember your name. I was like, wow. Really? You don't have Cheetos? You don't have Cheetos in Australia? Interesting. Mm, gotcha. I have to bring some when I come visit. Ew. Oh, gross. I see orange in my mouth. I was just thinking about you the other day. I think Costa. Costa popped into my mind. I was like, well, I ain't talked to Clarendon in a minute. With all the foods you don't have. Right, but the quality of food is probably pretty good. So I'll hopefully be shocked at all the good food that you do have. All right. But yeah, we'll have to catch up. We'll have to chat. I got Cheeto on my teeth. Ugh. How is it? He's like, oof. How old is he now? He's like a proper teenager now, right? Because I think, was he 10 or did he just turn 10? Um, would that have been like 3 years ago? He's 11. Oof, well, never mind. So wait, he was 8 3 years. Oh, so wait, so he just turned 10 a year ago. I guess we have like talked a little bit since like 2020. He's getting up there. Does he still like Godzilla? Godzilla and the subway train system. Mm. Oh, you have to tell him I said happy belated birthday. That was just not too long ago. Soccer? Oh, oof. Well, never mind. I have no touch points to soccer. I'm gonna be right back. I'm actually gonna pour some more. Maybe I shouldn't. I probably shouldn't, but I will. I will. I'll be right back. Ooh. If you hear a thud, it's fine. I just fell. Oh my gosh. Excuse me. I forgot to start the Roomba. I saw this jacket on Instagram and I was like, oh my gosh, look at all the colors. This is one of the few things that I've ordered on Instagram that actually like delivered. Sadly. But Patrick, if you've been burned by Instagram so many times, why did you keep ordering things off of Instagram? Because I like to believe in the best for us. I'm gonna start the Roomba real quick. So if you hear it like banging up against the door, like you know why. There it goes. Really? Yeah. My mom, she got something. I can't remember if it was from Instagram. It might have been. She got something and she fought it and she got her money back. I was like, that's what I should have did. Because it was like she ordered one thing and then they were like, oh, we didn't have it. So we just sent you this other thing or something like that. And she was like, yeah, no. And she fought it and she got her money. Well, I need to get my hair done. It's time for a retwist. Anyway, especially not her. She don't play about her money. I chalk it up to the game. I'm like, and then I chalk it up to the game, and then I keep playing the game anyway. Apparently. All right, a little more. But yeah, we'll have to like do a proper catch up sometime. Mm-mm. It's hilarious that you asked me that because roughly 10 hours ago, somebody else asked me the same question. One of my coworkers, I forgot my sandwich in the fridge, and the Taurus in me could not let my sandwich go. So I showed back up to work to get my sandwich out the fridge. Um, and he was like, Pat, does your mom do your hair? And I was like, no, I go to somebody else. And then you asked me. So it was funny. Ooh, that's starting to hit. Yeah, she did. She used to. Before I got it locked up, she would like twist it, do the 2-strand twists and braid it and stuff like that. But then when it came to this, she was like, oh, I'm not a loctician. I'm not qualified to do that. You should go to the person your brother goes to. I was like, okay. Thank you. But yeah, we'll catch up. We definitely will. How are you? Did I ask how you've been? Right? Oh yeah, you said going good. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk. We'll talk. We'll catch up. So this Ace of Cups, Ace of Wands, there's a lot of force here. You wouldn't be able to tell. Yeah. You wouldn't be able to tell from like this, but it's like the water falls down with enough force to elevate the cup off the ground, and that same elevating force, if you know what I mean, is mirrored in that Ace of Wands. And it's like in this particular depiction of the Ace of Cups, because not all Ace of Cups are levitating. You can fly away with me tonight. You can fly away with me tonight. This is interesting. Because so there are 9 cups on the dais. That's not a dais, on the whatever platform. And then there are 4 pentacles up in the air. She's brought down 2 of them. Also in this 6 of pentacles, this is a 6 of pentacles where she's giving to both of them. In some 6 of pentacles cards, I would dare to say in most, but in some at the very least, like only one person is receiving and the other person gets nothing. But there's something about this elevating force that gets us to, like, it shoots us up to the 9 of Cups. It shoots us up to these other 4 of Pentacles that I don't know if, like, she hasn't brought them down yet or if she's incapable of bringing them down, because, like, they exist where they exist. Like, they are where they are. So we have to go to them. But it's like it's the elevating power of a dream pursued. That's the second thing in Virgo season. Did I even talk about that strength card? Not really. All right, what's the third card for Virgo season? Oh, no, we ain't doing it. There's like 6 cards. Oh, we'll look at them. We'll look at them. The King of Cups and the Wheel of Fortune. The King of Cups has it feels like a crown of stars, given very Prince, but feels like a crown of stars. And then behind that, it's the 3 of Wands, the 10 of Cups, and the 6 of Swords. Both the 6 of Swords and the 3 of Wands are facing this 10 of Cups. Okay. Apparently my camera had a little too much to drink. It's fine. We can sober it up real quick. I love how piercing these blue eyes are in this blur. In the middle of the blur, you see blue. Camera control. Boom, boom. There we go. I can force it to focus. Forced focus. That's what we're about here at Real Karuk, apparently. Okay. So both the 3 of Wands and the 6 of Swords are facing this 10 of Cups. And then the Magician came out. And I'm like, because the Magician came out, I might take it. Because like I said last time, it was the Magician and the Strength card. It was the Hangman, the Magician's Strength, and then another card. It was the Tower. I mentioned how in this Strength card, the Infinity sign is above both the Woman and the Lion, rather than it being like in the other deck, it was just over the Magician and then just over the Woman in Strength in the Witch's Tarot. But both the Woman and the Lion are under that lemniscate, but there is no infinity in the Magician. It's all, inventiveness. Invention. Oh my gosh, it's all this creative force. Oh, what? The dragon breathing blue fire. And then the electricity and okay, that's kind of. And then knowledge is behind invention. Invention and knowledge. So I am going to take all of these as the third card. Virgo season apparently came out with a lot of opportunity, if nothing else. Up there it is. It just hit the door. I don't know if you heard it. I said Virgo season came with a lot of opportunity, and then Roomba knocked on the door. The Roomba is a vacuum. It cleans things. Virgo season. Get it? Knocking on the door. That's it's fine. For the past, I was on my on rotation. But when I wake up, so today You did say electric, and it was the blue. Oh my gosh, it's the blue contacts. That was the solar plexus and the third eye. And then it went to the heart and the crown. The solar plexus and the third eye. It is Renth, angel of time. The fire that cracks its skin is the same flame from within, or something like that. It's that deepest core. It's this volcanic. It's like the insides coming out. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but when it first came through, when I was rolling the dice, it was like, it's like Iron Man. How you see his whatever that was thing there, and then his eyes glow with that same color, with the same color. Well, it was kind of over his heart there because it was to stop metal from piercing his heart or something like that. But usually it's like the core. It's like if it's a steampunk golem, there's the energy source in the furnace, and then from the eyes you can see the energy like pouring out. Oh wait, I gotta do it that way. These are called wizard, by the way. That was the color of the contact. They're called wizard. And then we have the magician here. So anyway, knowledge and inventiveness, King of Cups. And then even the King of Cups, it's like the color of the stars on his crown. It's that same electric blue. Oh, there it is right there. There's the infinity sign. It's on the machine. Yeah, Virgo season is packed. Apparently. I mean, what Virgo season had the end, I think Virgo season had the end of the Venus retrograde, the Mercury retrograde, Jupiter go retrograde. And something else. It had that blue moon in Pisces. Okay. Ooh, you have to send me pictures. Virgo season is packed. And I feel like I still haven't read the strength card. I do notice the roses around the lion. Oh, they're not even roses. Oh, I guess that's a rose. We got white roses. And I did talk about the shadow, right? When the shadow becomes an ally, because it was something about the South Node reading as energetically different. Yeah, that second full moon, the blue moon in Pisces. I think that's the strength card. That's what strength is embodying. She's made peace with the lion. She's not trying to force its mouth or whatever. And the lion like rests its paw on her lap. Like they're cool. They're Gucci. So now, because of that, because she's made peace with the lion, because the shadow is now an ally, there is no part of the self that avoids or evades whatever this Nine of Cups is. Nine of Cups is a card of wish fulfillment. The Star is a card of wish fulfillment, and it's on the crown of the King of Cups. So it's almost like It is a completely different emotional vantage point, maybe because of, and that was months ago. Wasn't that the top of the year, or was it like April, March, April, where it was all about the person? It's like what arises in the absence of self conflict or internal conflict. What arises in the absence of internal conflict? Also, the ace plus the nine of cups is the 10 of cups, and the 10 of cups is here in between the 6 of swords and the 3 of wands. At the cut, when I first started, or before I started pulling cards, the 6 of swords was heading towards the high priestess, but was also heading away from the high priestess, depending on how you looked at it. Because when I looked at it, the 6 of swords was heading towards the high priestess, but when I showed you, it was departing. And I guess since I'm the reader, I'm taking the viewpoint, vantage point of the universe. So that would be like there's something that we may feel that we're getting away from, but in the grand scheme of things, we're actually moving towards it. Oh, let's see. So our star dragon for Virgo season is that's a drum roll. Transformation. I've seen this card every time. This is what the third time out of the most recent 3 times I've used this deck. Transformation comes out. Transformation, redefining yourself or defining yourself, not even redefining yourself. Transformation, defining yourself. And then there's like this crown, third eye, root energy. And it's like it's working in from the crown and from the root. So yeah, Virgo season was definitely a time and an opportunity to redefine self. I think that strength, that working with the self, or like the healed self and the integrated self was a part of it. And because of that integrated self and because of opportunity, it it created an opportunity to overcome challenge or to rise above challenge and to hit a new level within the self. And that was potentially very motivating. And it feels like it made something seem real or possible. Because the 3 of wands is like waiting for the ships to come. The 6 of swords is the ship. The more I look at these cards over here, or the more I'm looking at Virgo season, the more I see how it's all playing together. Because yeah, the 3 of wands is like typically waiting for the ship to come in. And then there's literally the 6 of swords that's on its way. They intersect at the 10 of cups, which is the 9 plus the ace. This ace of cups has enough force to take us to that 9 and to sum total the 10. And then, yeah, that would be the throne, excuse me, and this King of Cups. So it's like the very throne itself is going to shoot up into the air. The King of Cups has hydrojet propulsion, thruster systems on his throne. And then the Magician is here. I feel like the Magician, it plays back into the Ace of Wands part of this. And it also plays into that inventiveness, again, that we saw as the overall. So where do we take this inventiveness? Knight of Cups at the bottom of the deck. The first thing that Libra season brings us, it would be lovely if it's like 1 card and not 5. I saw this card at the cut when I was shuffling. Oh. The first thing that Libra season is bringing us is Saturn in Libra. And if you don't know astrological correspondence to the tarot, it's the Three of Swords, which is not gorgeous energy, not cute. But it's like if this is the first thing that Libra season is going to bring us, it's almost like that's why Virgo season came out the way that it came out. That's why Virgo season came out with transformation. And that's why Virgo season was about us getting to mend our relationship and dynamic with the shadow or with our shadow selves or whatever. So that when this Three of Swords energy comes up front, it's like we don't have the shadow that's piggybacking off of it. It's like it's the difference between a hard day or a hard few days and a depressive spiral. Which is interesting because last time I was live, I was talking about anxiety and how it's like if we are really in tune with subtle changes, but there's a lot of anxious, depressive, negative connotation, then we take those subtleties to mean something terrible. It's like, oh, like I've noticed that this person isn't like responding to my texts immediately. They hate me because blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, the person is like, it is like, that is true. Like the observation is true, but the conclusion may not necessarily be. But it's like we have biased conclusions because of things that we've experienced in the past. And I still don't necessarily know, I guess besides intuition, but I don't necessarily have a name for when we're in touch and in tune and aware of the subtleties, but it goes in the other direction rather than being like pinking all of the anxiety flags. So that's the first thing that Libra season is bringing us. I've been saying a lot the past week or so. I've been getting the message over and over and over again to get over the past, to completely forget everything that's ever happened. Stop holding on to it. It doesn't serve you anymore. And every time, like, I guess I feel like I've done it, I'm like, it's kind of sort of almost low-key the petty part of me, almost. But it's just like get over it, like forget about it. There were situations, and I've had not great experiences in life that it's like there was something that I needed to see, witness, or learn about me. And so it's like if there is this experience and I come to the experience and someone else comes to the experience, I'm coming to the experience to learn everything that I need to learn. And it isn't necessarily what the other person is coming to the experience for. When I apply for a job, I'm applying to get the experiences that I need to have. And they may be trying to fill the role permanently, but it ain't a permanent for me type of thing. You know what I mean? Or for somebody else, because I ended up staying until the end. But anyway, it's like we all meet up, but for different reasons. And it's not always like negative, right? Like, let's say that there is one person who has like a lot to give, but they've never necessarily they've never been in an environment that is healthy for them to give as much as they desire to. And then there's someone else who's used to over giving, but never receiving. And then they meet each other and everything works out beautifully and it's positive, right? It's like they become complementary. What one person needs or has lacked, the other person has to give, and vice versa. But anyway, Saturn in Libra. Saturn is actually retrograde in Pisces right now. Pisces does in conjunct Libra. The first card is the Empress. Venus. Venus rules Libra. This is the first card for what Libra season is bringing us. And it's another 3. Second card for what? It's 2 cards. We have Mars in Scorpio and Pisces. The 5 of Cups and the Moon. The 5 of Cups and the Moon is interesting because it feels like it doubly emphasizes that energy of the 5 of Cups, which is when you are primarily focused on the things that didn't work out, you miss out on all of the things in your life that are. It's like it could be easy to miss a blessing or to miss an opportunity or to not appreciate something because we are so consumed in whatever was lost. And there are 3 cups on this side, 3 spilled cups, 3 swords, 2 cups still upright. And whatever this red thing is in that's a bridge. LOL. Golden Gate Bridge. Some of you could be from, let me stop. Sorry. It is true, actual, factual information. Somebody could be from Cali. Is that San Francisco where the Golden Gate Bridge is? The King of Cups was also wearing heels. The Empress. Venus is exalted in Pisces too. The third and final energy card that Libra season is going to bring us. So yeah, this 3 of Swords, it feels like the 5 of Cups and the Moon. The Empress feels like it's building off of what Virgo season was like, culminating to. Oh no, that's like, I'm sorry. I know I did it for Virgo season, and it was another Libra card. It was the 2 of Swords. I can't. It was like 6 cards. All right. Libra season. I'll take it. Bottom of the deck is the 5 of Pentacles. This is so bittersweet. It's like we got the Empress, which is gorgeous. We have the 5 of Cups and the Moon, which is less gorgeous. It comes in as the 3 of Swords, which is not gorgeous at all. And then the last card is the Chariot. Cancer. We have all of the water signs are here. Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer. We have major arcana Pisces and Cancer. Minor arcana Scorpio. Mars and Scorpio. Mars rules Scorpio. Is Saturn... I don't think Saturn is exalted in Libra, but because Libra incorporates justice, I could see Saturn doing well. And where is Saturn exalted, actually? Maybe it is Libra. Who knows? Saturn exaltation. Saturn is exalted in Libra. I take it back. Saturn is exalted in Libra. I was like, it makes sense. If Libra is justice and Saturn is like karmic daddy, right? Like Saturn is the judge. So, it's Saturn at work. So we have we have Saturn, which is exalted in Libra. We have Venus and Pisces. Venus is exalted in Pisces. Venus rules Libra. I think this is why, again, it feels like that's why Virgo season, something about Virgo season was so important. And it feels like it's that elevation, it's that propulsion of the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Wands. It's like that propulsion lifts us high enough to not get drowned in our sorrows or to not get like lost in it. There's something about a higher vantage point, viewpoint, or perspective that'll make it easier to either get out of the Three of Swords energy quicker or to not be so lost in that Three of Swords energy that we don't see opportunities as they come. And then, so we started with Strength, and then we have the Chariot. The Chariot is these two forces working together with movement and momentum. The Strength card is like, they're not fighting anymore. They're like chill, they're cool, they're copacetic. But they're not going anywhere. They're not necessarily doing anything besides all of that, like very, very important internal work and presence and comfort and like, being there. But the Chariot has movement. Libra is cardinal. Chariot is like prime cardinal energy. The star dragon for Libra is number 21, resilience, which is another 3. 2 + 1 = 3. Just saying. And today is the last 9/9 of September. Finding your limits. Let's read, shall we? Resilience, finding your limits. Constellation is Canis Major. The star is Sirius, Alpha Canis Majoris. So it could be going back to August, Lionsgate, Leo. Venus is in Leo. Venus is in Leo. The Empress is Venus. She's right here. Because Sirius is one of the major players of the 8/8 Lionsgate. Wisdom of the Herald, enough is enough. There comes a time when the fire within burns brightly with an intuition, shouting forth, it is time. This is very, very, I didn't even read transformation, but it's fine. Because we have this invention here. There's something in all of these cards about what lies deeply within us. What number is that? Number 11? 11. Feel the fire of passion and vital energy arise from your core, was the first sentence. Invention burning with passion. Enough is enough. There comes a time when the fire within burns brightly with an intuition, shouting forth, it is time. That was this. Am I doing this again? That was this energy without the tongue. The fire from within, the flame that cracks its skin is the same as the fire that burns from within. I'll grab the deck after this. Time to know when to quit. Baby, it's cold outside. Baby, it's cold outside. Da-da-da-da, but baby, it's cold outside. Anyway, sorry. Look within. Time to know when to quit. Baby, it's cold outside. Look within for that inner warmth and knowledge There's knowledge. Knowledge is behind invention. And knowledge, of self. Set your boundaries. Know your limits. Find what works for you right now. The outside world is irrelevant. The entire universe resides inside of you. Limits were made to be surpassed and finish lines crossed. You know your limit, but after a certain point, you will reemerge to tackle a new challenge, stronger and better than before. You bounce back. You are resilient. It's time to push it to the limit and beyond. Oh, resilience with the Three of Swords. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. 3-3 between resilience, the Three of Swords, and the Empress. And then 3 3s is a 9. The moon is number 9. There you go. The other two cards, it's the Five of Cups and the Chariot. The Chariot is 7. 7 plus 5 is 12, which is another 3. 7 plus 5 is 12, which is the mirror of this resilience. So the mirror of resilience is the Five of Cups and the Chariot, which makes sense because this is literally resilience. It's being in this energy, but moving forward anyway. You know what I mean? It's almost like courage or bravery. It doesn't count unless you're scared. It's not courageous if there is no fear. These are the Astro Matrix Tarot. Whoa. The Astro Matrix Tarot and the Star Dragons. I'm like, where did I put the boxes? How you doing? Class Boa. Star Dragon, Oracle cards, and the Astro Matrix Tarot. From the Astro Matrix app are the people who run the Astro Matrix app. Excuse me. Setting boundaries and knowing your limit, when to say when, require a lot of self-reflection and meditation. Take time out of your day to establish what works for you. Listen to your inner voice, and once you have established your stance and retreated to safety, you can bounce back better than ever with resiliency, power, and grace. It's about retreating within and then getting right back on the playing field when the time comes. Be unstoppable. Ooh. Oh, these are transitioning from Virgo season into Libra season. That's what I'm reading right now. How much do I have left in my lesson? I gotta go to the bathroom. Oof, I'm gonna be up all night now. Because once I break that seal, oof. I almost wonder why, like, I love this energy. And it feels like there's a very fluid flow from Virgo to Libra. It almost feels like, though, Virgo season brought a lot of the encouragement up front. Libra season is bringing in, like, at least at the beginning, at least at the jump, at least at the start, it's bringing in like a heaviness. I'm curious about this full moon Aries that's coming up, though. What's energy for the full moon in Aries? And one card. The Six of Cups turned over, but it was with other cards, so I flipped it back over. We got the Seven of Wands, which is Mars in Leo. Mars in Leo square Mars in Scorpio. Mars is going to be in fall, right? What's the other one? Because there's domicile, exaltation. Fall is fall and debilitation the same? Fall is opposite domicile, debilitation is opposite exaltation, question mark. Because Mars is domicile in Aries. So it's in fall in Libra. It rules Scorpio, and I'm pretty sure it's exalted in Leo. I say pretty sure as if I'm like beyond 45% sure. It might be exalted in Leo. Or is that the sun that I'm thinking about? No, because the sun rules Leo, exalted in Aries. So is the sun at fall in Libra? Because it's exalted in Aries, right? Does the sun fall? Like ever? I guess, yeah, because we have wintertime, right? There are seasons when the sun is more strong and prominent and warms the earth more when we're tilted towards it. And then when we're tilted away from it, it's wintertime, it's cold, it's whatever, you know? So I guess it can fall. Or it could be not as present, not as warm. Uh, right? We've in the northern hemisphere, which doesn't apply to all of us. In the northern hemisphere, we just had the autumnal equinox. So the days are going to be getting shorter and shorter as we head for the winter solstice. But in the southern hemisphere, they just had the vernal equinox. So the days are going to be getting longer and longer as they head towards their summer solstice. Seven of Wands is what the Aries full moon. That's the one card. It's just a snapshot. Bottom of the deck is the Queen of Wands. And then the Queen of Swords is behind that Queen of Wands with the Hermit and the Knight of Swords behind that. Knight of Swords, Page of Swords. Knight of Swords, Page of Swords. We got Queen of Swords, Hermit, Knight of Swords, Page of Swords. The Queen of Swords was the Scarlet Shield. That was our shining winds, and that was our stronghold of the Zephyr. This was the maelstrom. That was the thing that we were seeking that brought. It was literally the seeker. But here's Virgo. It was Virgo season when that came out. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, Queen of Wands, Seven of Wands. It feels like something worth defending and something worth fighting for. If we are still facing grief or fear, it feels like realizing or recognizing. See, this is like it's turning around and noticing these two cups. And when we notice these two cups, it doesn't necessarily negate all of the feelings that we feel. Like, it's my personal belief that as humans, we are capable of complex emotion. Like, we can be grieving one thing while simultaneously be acknowledging, appreciating, and celebrating another. Like, we are emotionally and mentally complex enough to hold separate thoughts and emotions at the same time. But it's like when we turn around and notice what it is that we still have, it's like that's the thing that's worth fighting for, with the Seven of Wands and the Queen of Wands. So maybe that's what the full moon in Aries will bring. Appreciation for something that it is that we have. And holding on to that, it'll make the dark times a little brighter. Or it will just like give us something else to, again, and it's not that we're necessarily like ignoring or bypassing anything, but it is like there is going to be something that is going well, that is worth moving forward, that's worth the investment, regardless of what happened and occurred in the past, what happened or occurred in the past, and regardless of the things that we're like grieving, there are still important things that we need to hold just as closely. If you've seen One Piece, there is a death in the series that destroys one of the characters. And that character all but at one point loses his will to live. And then there's another character that reminds him of the people that like are still in his life, that are still alive, that need him. And again, one doesn't necessarily negate the other, and it doesn't have to. We're capable of both grieving one thing and appreciating another at the same time. Well, I guess generally, I personally feel that it is possible to grieve one thing while simultaneously like appreciating the other. And one doesn't necessarily take away from the other. Again, like they don't negate each other. And maybe the chariot is again an acknowledgement of both, but it moves forward anyway. It's that resilience. So that is Libra season from, oops, no, it's on my lap. From Virgo season. Seems kind of rough, honestly. This reading is a little rough. But again, like the South Node is in Libra right now. So Mars, the Sun, at some point Mercury conjuncting the South Node. I'm not too surprised. I wonder if I'll be able to get back to sleep now. Eight of Cups, Jupiter, no, Saturn, sorry, Saturn and Pisces. I was like, in what world is the Eight of Cups, Jupiter, and anything? In the world where you're going towards what you're expanding, in a world where you're going towards, or where you're heading in the direction that you're expanding in, but away from the comfort zone or the direction that you were already in. So yeah. All right. Final card from the Astral Matrix Tarot. Ooh. We got 3 cards. Oops. Ooh, I'll take it. Bottom of the deck is the 3 of Wands. The very thing that we've been anticipating. Is that an airplane? Maybe there's like this ship coming in and dude's looking at the airplane. Dude's like, it isn't like 1564 anymore. If I wanted to go by boat around the world, it'd take a lot longer than a flight. So maybe there's a modernization here. Like maybe there was something that you wanted at one point of your life, but since you've lived life, grown, experienced more things, as your palate has been refined, your taste has increased or decreased. Your taste is different now than it was then. And so, especially with the South Node and the Sun conjuncting the South Node, Sun conjuncting the South Node, while Mars is also there, could be an energy of like, there's something that you used to really, really, really want, and it resurfaces like Sun conjuncting the South Node. But then the question of Mars is like, are you going to take it? Are you going to do it? Does it still fit? And since it's the South Node and not the North Node, in a more standard approach, it would be no. You'll realize that it doesn't fit your needs, wants, desires, or lifestyle anymore. You were different when you wanted it. You were less knowledgeable and less experienced, but now you know the things that you know, and you want it different, not even better or worse. You just want different. But again, something about this energy is looking at the South Node and South Node influence in a different way because of the transformation that has occurred. Transformation is what clarified all of that Virgo season 15 cards for 3 energy. The cards that came out, it's Judgment, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Eight of Swords. But the Eight of Swords, like, turned in reverse on the desk, so I'm keeping it in reverse. Judgment is the Phoenix in this deck. Literally rising from bones. So from death to, oh, look, there's the fire. There was the internal fire, the burning passion. It's that burning passion that reignites, rekindles, and brings back to life, that elevates because the bird is again flying upwards, something. The Eight of Swords looks a lot like the Nine of Cups. The one who was just sitting in the chair with all of her wishes and desires above her. The one with the Ace of Cups that was expelling water with such force that it was lifting off of the ground. The King of Thrones, the King of Cups, whose throne had those hydro jets on it that can pop up. Eight of Swords is in reverse. I feel like the Eight of Pentacles upright, Eight of Swords in reverse. It reads as faith. This is someone who can continue to do the work regardless of what they do or don't see in their external reality. Kind of sort of playing on that Seven of Wands, Queen of Wands, of like knowing what's worth fighting for and fighting for it type of energy. And it's like, it doesn't matter who's with you, who's against you, how quickly it transpires. That's that Bruni energy again, the brownie that came out in a few readings of doing the work even when there is no immediate payoff. Because then it'll be worth it. It's like maybe you were saving up for a cruise, but then you realize you get a flight. You can afford a flight, or vice versa. Right? Maybe you were going to fly, but now you want to go on a cruise. Maybe you want to go on a yacht. I don't know, because yachts are expensive, right? Who knows? You are capable, much more capable now than you were before. And you get to choose and decide how you move forward. It is possible to reach the point where it is no longer dictated by the past or previous experiences. And then we'll get a final Star Dragon. Star Dragon. It's time. There's a whole bunch of dragons in the... Hold up. I got to go to the bathroom. I'm sorry. But we're going to get a little unorthodox. Because I think I still have Dungeons and Dragons Magic, the Gathering cards. So we're going to look to see if I find the dragon. It's electric. Do. I literally just looked at this before I went live too. And now I know why. How many of these do I have left? I got a few. We're going to open a pack of Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons cards. Because they have dragons in them. Duh. Am I going to get the Star Dragon first? No. It's the Commander deck. This is. I still have a few of these that I haven't opened yet. Why not? Let's have fun. Let's go a little crazy. Oh, what is this thing? Is this the art card? Elder Brain, Large Aberration, Challenge 14. Armor class of 10, 210 hit points. It has a 5-foot speed and a 10-foot swim speed. It has innate spell casting, psionics, tentacle, mind blast, psychic link, and sense thoughts attacks. Ooh, this thing is, oh my gosh. It's got 15 strength, 10 dexterity, 20 constitution, 21 intellect or intelligence, 19 wisdom, and 24 charisma. 24 charisma on a creature like this, that's mind control. I mean, it has psionics and sense thoughts and psychic link. That's mind control. Okay. I feel like it's not charisma if it's mind control. Not really. Not really. I mean, in some ways, maybe, but no. Maybe this is your reptilian brain. Maybe that's just like the old way of going about things, right? It's how your brain has developed up until this point, or how your brain has developed specifically, or more specifically, up until a point of significant transformation, and even through transformation. Because transformation was what Virgo season brought us. And Libra season came out the jump with the 3 of Swords. And one of the major energies of Libra season is the 5 of Cups with the moon, which could be, again, consumed by disappointment and heartbreak and like things not working out. So when we are so convinced that something isn't going to work out, I feel like my voice is going out. What's the dude who, are you talking about Megamind? The Megamind movie? Or a different movie? If it's a different movie, then I'm not sure. And who are these like floating puppet things up in the sky? This is very Stranger Things. Oh, you were talking about Megamind? The blue guy. But yeah, it's like it's how our brains have developed up until this point. And so now it's just like Virgo season was helping us get to the point of making, I don't even want to necessarily say making peace. Forgiveness to me is an evolving concept. The current definition of forgiveness that I'm kind of sort of running with is it's just an acceptance that what happened happened. And that's it. It's like, again, like that's literally it. Accepting that what happened happened. And just because you accept that what happened happened doesn't necessarily mean that you go and give something or someone the opportunity to hurt you again or whatever. But at the same time, it doesn't it simultaneously doesn't mean that you hold on to it to the point where you don't allow them to show or prove that they have changed. Forgiveness is just acceptance. And it's like accepting, again, that what happened happened, accepting that it didn't work out in any other way, accepting that nobody, if nobody came to do something, accepting that nobody came to do something. And that's it. But forgiveness is so broad a thing and so uniquely defined. Sometimes forgiveness does include opening up doors and opening communication and mending of relationships. Sometimes it doesn't. And it can be forgiveness both ways. But yeah, elder brain. Oh, this old brain, old brain. Your old brain is saying that things are going to work out in a certain way. And again, like, it is very smart, it is very wise, and its charisma is off the charts. It's also very like battle hardened, very scarred. It's like a scar tissue. It's very tough because the Constitution is 20. It's not dexterous at all. Well, it's moderately dexterous. It's middle of the road dexterous. It's a 10. So it's like there's no, it's like it's decently pliable, but compared to like the wisdom and the charisma and the intelligence and the constitution, it's nowhere near as flexible. So it's like it's being open minded, but at the same time being extremely hard to convince of things because of everything that you already know. And maybe convince isn't even necessarily the word, but it's like there's so much emphasis on what it is that you already know because of what it is that you've already experienced, that it's not really that open. It's not as open as it might think it is. And then strength is 15. The strength being 15 is actually the most surprising because you think that a floating brain with off the charts intellect and charisma and wisdom wouldn't be that strong to balance it out. But it's stronger than it is flexible. But again, maybe that speaks to the Constitution. The Constitution is 20, which is very high. Again, because you think that a brain would be a little squishier, but it's not. It's very hardy. It's slow. It only moves at 5 feet and swims at 10. Most things can outrun and outswim and outpace it. But with that psychic link and that innate psionic spell casting, I don't know. It's a tough one to defeat. We got a holographic land, which is the swamp. So we got swamp brain. The sudden sinkhole was surprising enough, but nothing would have prepared you for the ancient city that was hidden underneath. That did that not come out recently ish? Where it was about getting to the root of a lot of like pain and trauma. It kind of came out. I think in I think it was Fairly Quickie #1. I'm pretty sure it was Fairly Quickie #1, or it could have been #2. But it was that energy of like some traumas we do get to the root of, and some we don't. And sometimes it depends on how much we've healed. Because if it's a pain that's going to mentally break us because we're not at a point where we can face it, then it's probably better to leave it alone. Like if it's going to cause a mental breakdown, it's probably better to leave it alone. Or it's probably better to do some, like to heal around it and then address the main issue, right? It's almost like if there's an overgrowth or something like that, if there's an infection, then you treat the infection around the source before you go to the source. Because if you go immediately to the source, then it feels like it just like surges out and it makes it a lot worse. It's like it pops and it spreads the infection even wider, like if it were a mushroom and it sends out the spores when you touch it. Like it's better to cut off the roots or to like shave off some of the spores before you have it go flying everywhere. So it's like sometimes it's that, or sometimes it's just like it's not completely relevant to our life and to our path moving forward. So we don't necessarily have to get down into the weeds. I mean, like, I'm sure we can. The point basically, though, is to not force ourselves, because if we force ourselves before we're ready, that's where it can be more painful and more difficult sometimes. It will naturally arise when it is time to be faced and addressed. We don't have to go looking for it. But since this is the elder brain and we have an ancient city that was hidden underneath, maybe there is something that causes this to come up. And again, it's feeling like that Three of Swords trigger at the beginning of Libra season. Libra season is coming in triggering folks. And then it's like, oh, don't worry, like Virgo season prepares you for this. Like, you're ready for this. Next, we have Rasad in Bashir. I don't know how to pronounce this. The legendary human monk. Each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Whenever Rasad in Bashir attacks, if you have the initiative, double the toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. Choose a background. So this legendary human monk can come from any background. Anybody can be a legendary human monk. You don't have to have a specific background. And it actually has no attack. It has no attack and 3 toughness. It's all tough. No bite. It's defensive. But it's almost, I guess, in a way, the epitome of the best offense is a good defense. It attacks with its defensiveness. But this, in context with the elder brain in the swamp, this is someone who is very reactionary. This is like trauma responses. It's a defense mechanism that we like project out at others. It's like an animal that expels its insides onto something outside and like digests it in its stomach outside of it or something like that. Next, we have the Fire Diamond. Fire Diamond enters the battlefield tapped, and it's an artifact that gives you a fire mana. Now we have the Dragonborn Looter. It's a dragon rogue. So we have our first dragon, technically, I guess. Draw a card, then discard a card. Urther. What's Urther? That's Urther. That's one of the Norns. Might not be the Norn of the past. Urther Brunner. I don't Urther Brunner. Urther Brunner is where Urther is from. Like Mimir's Brunner is where Mimir is from. Now I gotta see if that's the Norn of the past. No, this Urther is spelled E-R-D-U-R, and that's U-R-D-R. Urther. One of the Norns in Norse mythology, along with Verdandi and Skuld. Urther means fate. Urther makes up a trio of Norns that are described as deciding the fates of people. It looks like she is the past. Yep, Urther is the past. The future is Skuld. The present is Verdandi. So here we have the carrying the name of the past, but spelled differently. The Dragonborn Looter. Urther never thought of it as stealing. Treasure simply didn't deserve to be stuck underground where no one could admire it. The Dragonborn Looter is the one, because it mentions the ancient city hidden underneath. The sudden sinkhole was surprising enough, but nothing could have prepared you for the ancient city that was hidden underneath. There's this ancient city hidden underneath, and this Dragonborn Looter is going to get some treasure, and then the elder brain that's been sealed in that ancient city for who knows how long emerges and begins wreaking psychological havoc to the likes that nobody has seen, because the brain is tough. Like, you can't have brain and brawn, right? Like, that's not fair. That's a brawny brain. Again, and it feels like it's all that scar tissue. Is the brain a muscle? I know it's an organ. Are organs muscles? The heart is a muscle, right? Or no? But like it beats. So are there muscles associated with the heart? I guess muscles aren't organs. But anyway, it's all scarred and stuff. So we got trauma responses with Rashad Ian Bashir. And then we have this fire diamond. The fire diamond may have been the treasure that one was seeking, that the Dragonborn looter was seeking. And it's interesting because of the Ace of Wands that came out. And it is one water. Well, it's water and one mana. Uh, so there is a water fire in between the fire diamond and this Dragonborn looter. Here's our proper dragon, the lurking green dragon. It's flying. Lurking green dragon can't attack unless defending player controls a creature with flying. Territorial, scary, no further notes. Here we have the lurking green dragon of the earth. And it can only attack if there are other flying creatures, which is interesting because that's the King of Thrones with the hydraulic, with the hydrojets on his throne. That was the power that the water from the Ace of Cups is being expelled with, enough to lift that cup off the ground. That cup was flying. So in that case, then the lurking green dragon would be able to attack, and the lurking green dragon has more toughness and attack than this monk does. So the lurking green dragon can destroy this trauma response, but only if there's another flying creature. That other flying creature is basically like only when we're not attached or rooted in the trauma can we overcome it, which is in some ways a tall order a little bit, because it's like you basically already have to be over it. You already have to have healed it in order to face it, or in order to conquer it. You don't have to have healed it to face it, because you can face it at any point. I think, again, the Dragonborn looter kind of goes looking for it, and I don't know if that's purely spiritual mumbo jumbo. And by mumbo jumbo, I mean like because it's like dark nights and all of, because of like healing. Sometimes we go looking for trauma. We go looking for things before we're necessarily ready to face them. And that's when it can like really hit us, rather than again allowing them to surface naturally. Because they will when it's time to like face them, like when we're ready. And sometimes we get a little bit of it as like a oof, like I need a you know. But when it really surfaces to heal and to be healed, we'll be ready, and we don't have to find it or go looking for it or to force it to the surface to do that. But again, when we do, and we're not like, there's a force here. The Dragonborn looter thinks that that treasure doesn't deserve to be unseen underground, so it goes looking for it. It excavates it and finds this elder brain. It sends the reptilian trauma brain into overdrive because again, it still doesn't have the capacity to contextualize or to face or to forgive or whatever. And it's not a bad thing to like not be perfect in every way or to not be healed in any way, in every way. It's progressive. And again, it's one of those things that sometimes when we force it, we do ourselves more damage and harm than we do good. So next we have the Aarakocra Sneak, which is, oh, we get a flying creature. So if you didn't believe me, it's a flying water creature. We get a flying water creature after this lurking green dragon that can only attack when there are other flying creatures on the field. Now, if I don't know if Rashad Ibn Bashir Because when he attacks, if you have the initiative, double the toughness of each creature. I don't know if that counts as him. Does he double his own toughness? Because if he does, he can beat the dragon. If the trauma response has the initiative, it can still beat this lurking dragon that's tougher and more powerful. It's better in every aspect. But if it don't got the initiative, it don't mean nothing. But now we have, again, the Arakocra Sneak. When Arakocra Sneak enters the battlefield, you take the initiative. What? This is wild. That's why I love, this is why I love reading with, like, anything. Shh, I think I hear goblins, and I definitely smell them. The goblins that came out when I tried to do the mythical creature oracle cards to make a spread. And I was like, the goblin. And then I went through the whole thing and I saw that line and I was like, oh, okay, well. So, because I was just mentioning, I reread it. If Rashad Ibn Bashir has the initiative and when he attacks, he gets double the toughness. He can even destroy the lurking green dragon. The trauma response, the negativity can win out over the light that is buried within us, I guess, because it only has 4, and then his will go up to 6. But if you could put the Arakocra Sneak on the field at that time when he attacks, Arakocra Sneak immediately takes the initiative. It weakens the trauma response. And even the Arakocra initiative itself could defeat Rashad al-Bashir. I think they would destroy each other. No, wait, I'll take it back. I'll take it back. Because it has 3 toughness and it only 1 attack. So Rashad al-Bashir would destroy. No, because it has more toughness. What would happen? Because it would go back to 3 toughness. So the Arakocra Sneak would survive the attack because it has 4 toughness, which would be more than the 3 that it would take, but it wouldn't destroy this trauma response. But again, the lurking green dragon with its 4 and 4 would be strong enough to withstand the attack and to destroy the trauma response. But here's our elevated flying water. Again, that Ace of Cups that is expelled with enough force. It's that King of Cups on his hydro jet propulsion throne. Then we have the Arcane Encyclopedia, which is another artifact. For 3 mana, you can draw a card, and you don't have to discard one. Now, what was the other one? Oh, for 1 mana, you can draw a card and discard a card with the Dragonborn Looter. Draw 1, discard 1. This one, it costs more, but you don't have to discard a card. A quill from the first reader at Candlekeep, the spectacles of the most holy servant of Gond, a woven bookmark from the Caliph Arcane of Kalimport. Readers always leave something of themselves behind. The Arcane Encyclopedia. With the rug of smothering. Is this a magic carpet under it? It's another flying artifact. Well, it's another flying card, but we breaking into the vault, apparently. Whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 1 life for each spell they've cast this turn. No, not an accessory to murder. I'm looking for an accessory for murder. Oh, gosh. The Flaming Fist Investigator. Rug of Smothering. So the more spells you cast, the more it smothers you. Which is interesting because I guess what spells are cast from the mind. Because of the intellect and wisdom of the elder brain and the constitution. It would be immune to a lot of spells, it feels like. Again, this thing is tough all around, but it's definitely less immune to spells, as you could probably imagine. So, with this antique artifact rug of smothering, it would be really good against the elder brain. It would be really good at smothering the elder brain because I'd assume that, like, all of its attacks were spells, right? Innate spell casting, mind blast, psychic link, and sense thoughts are all more spell oriented. The only thing that's not a spell is a tentacle, so it can still slap you with a tentacle. And with the size of those things and the strength that it has, it'll probably hurt. Whew. But at least if the elder brain, so that elder brain would like basically suffocate itself. So then this is like when you remove fear's ability to dictate the way that you live your life, it suffocates itself. It puts itself out. And it makes sense from the vantage point of, like, let's say that you have a fear that something is going to go wrong. And so you never do it. When you reach the point where you elevate, because we're doing these flying creatures, when the flying overcomes whatever this legendary monk is, and a monk is holy. I didn't even mention that. So the monk has a faith, spiritual background, but it's one that's been warped and twisted by the elder brain, fears, all kinds of stuff, old stuff that is no longer applicable or relevant. Um, but yeah, so like, let's say that you have a fear of like, oh, if I do this, it's going to go horribly wrong. So you never do it. And then one day you don't allow that fear to stop you from trying. And you discover that, like, in the scenario, take it as it resonates. If it don't resonate, don't take it ever. But in this scenario, everything works fine. When you go forward anyway, the fear naturally suffocates itself because now you have one tick mark on, like, nothing terrible happened. That fear was unfounded. So yeah, the rug of smothering, but it says whenever a player casts a spell. So it's very like, if you play the rug of smothering, you can't play any spells either. Which is again why I mentioned, like, you shouldn't be using spell. You probably wouldn't be using spells against the elder brain anyway, because it would be extremely resistant to all of them. But because the elder brain, because so much of its attack moveset is spells, then it would be the one taking massive damage. Now, one damage every time it casts a spell isn't a lot because it has 210 health. So you would have to survive 210 spells for it to kill itself, basically. That's how many hit points it has. And it has an armor class of 10. The armor class is also like middle of the road. Armor class is middle of the road. The dexterity is the middle of the road. The strength is above average, but the constitution and the intellect is exceptional. The charisma is beyond exceptional, and the wisdom is basically, it's top tier still. Um, Outmaneuvering the elder brain is going to be your best bet. And the rug of smothering, I mean, it's already slow enough, you know. But I wonder if the rug of smothering would be even more effective against the brain, because I would assume that it's even more oxygen dependent than other. I mean, I guess everything is oxygen dependent. I don't know, but like a suffocating brain is like, it feels like it hits different than if a different organ didn't get oxygen besides the heart. But maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, it's very situational, but again, it's like you wouldn't be necessarily doing the thing anyway. It wouldn't be wise to do the thing anyway. So again, with all of this elevated energy, it's like maybe there's a part of the trauma brain that's like, this is a lose lose. Like, why would you do this? Nobody benefits. And you may be convinced because, like, oh, if I play the rug of smothering, I can't cast any spells either. But it's like, consider what you're up against. You shouldn't be casting spells at the elder brain anyway, because it's not going to do anything. Elder brain may be elder enough to actually turn your spells against you, but it's just like, it's healed enough, it's elevated enough, it's ascended enough, it's whatever enough to know that it's like, whatever you have to lose, it's like you don't stand to lose the things that you fear losing. Because again, it's like, you wouldn't be doing it anyway. You're not going to cast spells at the elder brain. The elder brain is the one casting all the spells. You're not going to lose out. Next, we have the campfire, which is another artifact. Lots of art, and artifacts are old AF. But now we get some good art. We have some artifacts that can counteract the ancient brain. This is giving me like, the older brain was this menace on Earth that nobody could defeat, but the ancients couldn't defeat it, but they could trap it. So they created all of these artifacts to hold, to maintain, to imprison the older brain. But the dragonborn looter came in and disarmed all the traps, trying to get the treasure and release the elder brain. But anyway, that's just from like a narrative standpoint, not necessarily the reading, but it may, I don't know. I'm Patrick, we'll Pisces our way through anything. But yeah, it's interesting that all of these artifacts are here, but I guess it isn't, because it's an ancient city that's been discovered. You know what I mean? Is it surprising if there are artifacts in an ancient city? No. Not really. Not at all. Okay. The campfire. For 1 mana, you gain 2 life. So if you do cast the spell, you can get your life back and then some, but it's going to cost you more mana. For 2 mana, you can exile campfire, put all commanders you own from the command zone and from your graveyard into your hand. Then you shuffle your graveyard into your library. So for twice the cost of the card, you can put the things that have been put to rest back into play. And you can put all your commanders back in your hand. But you have to exile the campfire to do that. Honestly, that feels like something reclaimed. Is it Raisin in the Sun? I think Raisin in the Sun is coming to my mind. It's like, what happens to a dream deferred? Does it shrivel up like a raisin in the sun? Is that it? That's the play. Where's the poem? Oh, wait, or is that something different? Langston Hughes. There we go. Langston Hughes was an Aquarius. What? There's a short poem by Langston Hughes. It's called Harlem. Oh, the poem is called Harlem. Because it said Harlem by Langston Hughes, and I was like, I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for Harlem. I'm looking for Raisin in the Sun. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat or crushed and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load. Or does it explode? That's the poem. So now we have a legendary human peasant. We've had our legendary human monk. Our legendary human present peasant. Goodness. It's not, I mean, maybe it's a present pleasant. Maybe it's a pleasant present, but our legendary human peasant. Look at, if you tap the card, you can look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of tokens you created this turn. Put one of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Choose a background. So she also gets a background. The legendary peasant can come from anywhere. The legendary monk can come from anywhere. So with her coming after the campfire, oh, the candle keeps sage. Is a background. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. The candle keeps sage is a legendary background that comes out after this legendary peasant. And I'm like, oh, because in the Arcane Encyclopedia, a quill from the first reader at Candlekeep, their spectacles of the most holy servant of Gond, a woven bookmark from the Caliph Arcane of Kalimport, readers always leave something of themselves behind. That makes me think of the Angel of Memory in the Angelarium Oracle of Emanations. It's like if we take something, we have to leave something behind. But anyway, we have the Arcane Encyclopedia, and then I'm going to give it to her. I'm going to give it to our girl, Ellen. Ellen Hargreaves. Who knew that she was a Candlekeep sage? She's been bumming it for centuries. I'm kidding. She's undercover, okay? Oh, snap. And then we get a legendary shiny. Oh, I just pulled through the cards. I know what this card is. This is cute. Guys. Oh, look. The Candlekeep Sage is actually writing in the Arcane Tome. That's little focus. You see the quill on the pen, or the quill to the paper. He's got a quill in his hand. So, commander creatures you own have, when this creature enters or leaves the battlefield, draw a card. So you can draw a card without paying the price of 3 mana for the Arcane Encyclopedia, or without using that Dragonborn Looter. And with the Dragonborn Looter, you have to discard. If you take something with the Dragonborn Looter, you have to leave something. The Dragonborn Looter has basically seen Indiana Jones, and it knows how pedestal traps work. If I'm going to take the shiny gold relic, I have to put something of the same weight on the pedestal, or it'll trigger a trap. So, which is typically true, but the artifact that the Dragonborn Looter is swiping from the ancient hidden underground city is the one that was keeping the Elder Brain trapped. So don't allow your greed and your cunning to come around and bite you in the butt, basically. Which happens, sometimes the greedy and the selfish think that they're cunning. But it's like, basically you end up messing with the wrong one. And then by that point it's like, wow, was it worth it? Probably not. Anyway, the thing here to note is, though, that it's like, because the sage is the one who wrote the I want to say incantation. The sage is the one that wrote the incantation in the book. And so for the readers of the book, it costs something, but for the sage, it costs nothing. It costs nothing for the sage to draw more cards. When it enters and when it leaves, a card can be drawn at no cost. Well, besides the cost to summon it, I guess. You love the smell of dusty tomes, the flicker of candles during late night reading, and the old texts that bring to life the scholars who have come before. The scholars who have come before pulls on the wisdom and the learnings of those who have come before. But now I'm like, well, I wonder if the elder brain was like Megamind, where like the elder brain used to be in a body until the brain got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then the creature was like all brain. Well, I guess Libras are, they get indecisiveness, and they are air signs. I don't know how heady Libras are necessarily. Not even Libras as like Libran people, but just like Libran energy. I guess it's like justice. Justice is kind of heady. It is. Um, I didn't even necessarily think I would like attempt or read. I didn't even necessarily think I would read all these. I just thought I'd find a dragon. But then the elder brain came out and I was like, oh my gosh, look at this creature. It's tough. Like, it's so like brains are supposed to be weak and mushy. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess it's an old brain. It's got a lot of wrinkles and a lot of folds and some scar tissue. You know, it's seen some things. Maybe fresh brains are squishy, but old brains, oof, apparently old brains are tanky. Yeah, but anyway, there's something about the sage that has a knowledge that goes beyond what's written in the book. And there's, again, it's something about not having to pay the price or not having to pay the cost because it doesn't require any mana. I'm watching a show, an isekai anime, and it's someone from basically Earth, our world, that gets reincarnated into a world where where magic exists. And everyone is born with a certain capacity of like how deeply their magic can develop, and then they can level up until that, right? And then in a recent episode, like in the beginning, we know that every magic has an element. People have elemental affinities, but ancient magic has no affinity. It's elementless. And so on, not only is it like elementless, but there is ancient magic that doesn't require a lot of mana to sustain it. And in the recent episode, we find, well, we know because we see it happen. But in a recent episode, the researcher of ancient magics discovers that someone has been afflicted with a barrier magic. Barrier magic is non-aspected, it's non-elemental, and it's ancient because it's non-elemental. And again, it's that like, because the main character uses barrier magic because he has no elemental affinity. Um, and he's like, yeah, like the magic doesn't even cost that much mana to sustain. And he's just like, because he's reincarnated into that world, he doesn't know. And he was born as a child. So, you know, most children don't know things unless they're told or taught. Um, or unless, you know, they get older and experience for themselves. Um, but he's always like, yeah, like it doesn't even cost that much mana. Um, and then you find out that ancient magic costs little to no mana. And she was like, if this were a modern affliction, like it wouldn't even last for half a day because of how much mana would be consumed in it. But since it's ancient, it works off of itself. And maybe that's the thing about the elder brain, because ancient magic is self sustaining. Fear is self sustaining if we never face it. If we never learn or experience any different, then that fear remains as valid as the day that we first got it. Again, it isn't until that rug of smothering comes in or whatever, where we challenge those fears, where we have the experience anyway, and then it's not as we feared. That's basically when it puts itself out. When fear arises, but we continue forward, where we show courage and strength and bravery and resilience anyway. That's what smothers and suffocates and naturally puts down fear. But again, without it, because we never had that experience, we'll never know if the fear is real and true and valid or not. So it perpetuates itself. It costs nothing for fear to continue and for fear to continue itself. And it costs us a lot in bravery. In, I mean, on one hand, it costs us a lot to be brave and courageous. But on the other hand, it doesn't cost us anything besides moving forward and having that experience. Because again, it's not courage or bravery unless we're afraid when we do it. Otherwise, you're just doing something that you do on an average, ordinary Tuesday. Is that my best friend? Is that my best friend? That ain't my best friend. You ain't my best friend. It's my ex-roomie. It's 6 o'clock. Oh my gosh, I've been live for almost 2.5 hours. It's fine. It's fine. I'm supposed to be catching up with my journey buddy today. Oof, it's fine. But yeah, it costs no mana for the Candlekeep Sage to get that card, because his is also an ancient magic. And I almost wonder, again, this is more like storyline of the thing and less necessarily the reading. But I almost wonder if there was a Candlekeep Sage, a different one, who fell into an obsession of something that turned him into this elder brain. Because again, the elder brain is an ancient horror that uses ancient magics that cost almost nothing. But for all of the modern now, it costs, and it's not as sustainable because of the costs. So anyway, next we have a legendary tiefling warrior, Zevlor the Eltural Exile, who is fire, dark, and water aspected, and it has haste. So for 2 mana, you can tap the card. When you next cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a single opponent or a single permanent an opponent controls this turn, for each other opponent, choose that player or a permanent they control. Copy that spell, and the copy targets the chosen player or permanent. Oh, well, maybe this is our guy. He's got tentacles. Because I'm like, wait, we shouldn't be using spells against the elder brain. We've already discussed that. It is not wise to use spells against the elder brain. The elder brain is the one that uses all the spells, and this one copies spells. When you next cast an instant or a sorcery spell that targets a single opponent or a single opponent permanent, it controls this card. So for this turn, the next instant or sorcery spell that you cast that targets one opponent, it can also, like, you can copy that spell and the copy targets the chosen player or permanent. So basically, you cast 2 of them for 1. Wait, an opponent control. For each opponent, choose that player or a permanent they control. Copy that spell, and the copy targets the chosen player or permanent. So the more opponents there are on the field, the more copies of the spell that targets that one. That's interesting, because so Zevlor, the Eldril exile, has the ability to make it seem like the whole world is against one person, basically. Because of this legendary Tiefling warrior's ability to make it seem as if the spell is coming from other opponents when in reality it's coming from that one. But when I was talking about like in context of the story, I feel like this is the guy that ended up becoming the Elder Brain at some point. That's why I was like, oh, like maybe that's just like the character who became the Elder Brain. Like we have our Candlekeep Sage who's been like, monitoring that the Elder Brain remains sealed secretly, living for hundreds of years as a peasant. And like maybe, back in the day they used to know each other, and then was it Zevlor went off the rails and became this thing. And Ellen was like, since you were my friend, it's my duty to seal you forever and to keep you from destroying the world. Because, girl. But again, maybe that's the thing about, I don't know if that's just fear, though, at that point. Like, now we're bringing in what? Anxiety? A little bit of paranoia? It's just like it's this master level manipulation, I guess, that would convince a single person that the whole world is against them, when in reality it's just this one. And it's making it seem like it's coming from everywhere else. But in reality it isn't. So yeah, that's probably another reason why you don't want to use spells against the Elder Brain, because it can duplicate them. But I wonder, so I don't know if this is how it works as you're playing the card game, because this is a card game. It's like every time it copies that spell, the rug of smothering binds even tighter. So, because like at 1 HP, that's not a lot. If you can gather 210 people, not including you, to face the Elder Brain, because it is, if Zevlor is the Elder Brain, it is the Elder Brain's natural ability to duplicate spells for every opponent that is in the vicinity. If you can gather enough people, as soon as it tries to attack one, if you have that rug of smothering, it's like it'll attack one and it'll copy that spell, but that rug of smothering will like immediately just kill it. Because it'll keep duplicating that spell. And the more that spell is duplicated, the tighter the rug of smothering grips. So the rug of smothering was, again, like, because I've been pulling these one by one, the rug of smothering was more big brained than I thought. Because I was like, at one, it has 210 HP. It only loses 1 health as it casts a spell. That's a long time. But again, there was something about the ancients that knew the Elder Brain that devised all of these artifacts to trap it. It uses the nature of fear against itself. But that's what the rug of smothering did too. It causes fear to self-extinguish in some way. For a fear that multiplies, there's a rug of smothering. Wow. Okay, we got 3 cards left, and I still need to pull a Star Dragon. We got 4 cards, sorry. The next card is Raised by Giants, which is another background. Commander creatures you own have base power and toughness 10 out of 10, and are giants in addition to their other types. Your parents taught you that strength can be nurtured and honed no matter one's size. I love that. Because again, the strength and the bravery and the courage to face a fear. All of that can be honed and nurtured no matter the size. I don't think people can get two. Well, I guess this one came immediately after our Tiefling Warrior, but our Tiefling Warrior doesn't say choose a background. So our Tiefling Warrior doesn't get a background. The only other one without a background is the Dragonborn Looter, but honestly, I want to put this on Ellen too. Ellen was a Candlekeep Sage that was raised by giants. I mean, you would need somebody with a pretty impressive background to combat Zevlor, the Elturel exile that can copy spells, right? We're trying to balance it, okay? We're trying to make it fair. Because Ellen had to, devise either created the artifacts or did something to trap this elder brain in the ancient city. You love the smell of dusty tomes, the flicker of candles during late night reading, and the old texts that bring to life the scholars who have come before. Your parents taught you that strength can be nurtured and honed no matter one's size. Strength can be nurtured and honed. The Empress was the first major energy of Libra season. Strength was the first major energy of Virgo season. So it's the nurturing and the honing of that strength from Virgo season. Got it. Next, we have Alaundo the Seer. Oh, we have a legendary human creature. This one doesn't say choose a background either. This one is water and earth. This one is water and earth. That was our Arakakra sneak that takes the initiative away from the trauma response and lets the lurking green dragon destroy it. Cool, love it. Anyway. Draw a card, then exile a card from your hand and put a number of time counters on it equal to its mana value. It gains when the last time counter is removed from this card. If it's exiled, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you cast a creature spell this way, it gains haste until end of turn. Then remove a time counter from each other card you own in exile. Oh, he's a shaman, a legendary human shaman. We have our legendary human peasant and our legendary human shaman. Well, maybe Alaundo is the one that was raised by giants. But again, it don't say choose a background, so. This is a card, I don't know if I showed you. That time ability is interesting. If you tap it, draw a card, exile a card from your hand, and put a number of time counters on it equal to its mana value. So you get to cast it for free, but the larger the mana value, the longer you have to wait until it can be casted. And it's exiled in that time too. It's taken off of the board. If you exile the campfire, that's when you get to put commanders back into your hand and shuffle your graveyard back into the library. I think I was going to mention how, because Ellen lets you look at the top however many cards in your library. So with Ellen, you get to check and see if something that you moved from your graveyard is at the top of your library. And if it is, you can put that at the top of your deck. Or you get to put it in your hand, but the rest of the cards are at the bottom of the library in a random order. I wonder if that plays into the rug of smothering. It's in the way of you get to put a card back into your library and you shuffle it. So it could be anywhere. But if you use Ellen's ability, it gets sent to the bottom of the deck if that's not the card that you choose to put in your hand. But it's Yeah, it goes to the bottom of the deck, but it was in the graveyard before, so it was out of play. Is it better at the bottom of the deck than it was in the graveyard and out of play? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just a question. What is this? This is Patrick. Welcome to Real Card. That's interesting. And I don't know if that's like opportunity. It's like there was an opportunity that had passed. It was in the graveyard. And it's like the opportunity comes back around, but it might not be immediate. Is it better to have that opportunity at some unknown point in time or towards like the end of a certain time window than it was for that opportunity to not come back around at all? What is that? That was the Three of Wands. The Three of Wands was the one that had grown in between when they initially desired an opportunity and when they meet its fulfillment. It's the one that has to make the decision. Well, I don't know if it necessarily consciously makes that decision, but in some way, it's the one that makes the decision of, does this still fit and align? Do I still want this? Or has it been too much distance, time, growth, healing, whatever? Am I too different now to the point that I don't even want this anymore? Or do I still want it? Alaundo puts it in the future for free. You get it for free in the future. If you get it now, you'd have to pay for it. But it's like when the time expires, I guess that's the trick of it. You would want to pick something that you believe is still going to be desirable, something that won't be obsolete by the time it comes around. Also, like the game would still have to be continuing, right? Because if you lose, then it's not going to get to 5 turns. You could have a card that ends the game, but it costs 10 mana and it's the beginning of the game. You have just enough to summon a Londo, but you have it in your hand. So you exile this game ending, game winning 10 mana card that you get to play for free. And your opponent doesn't know that you're going to win the game in 10 rounds, but you don't know that your opponent is about to end it in 3. So you put it in escrow for nothing. It's like it doesn't even get that far. That's a chance that you have to take. That's the chance that we take when we entrust the future with our dreams and desires rather than working towards fulfilling them now. In the ways that we can, right? So next we have Noble Heritage, which is another legendary background. It's a holographic legendary background. Commander creatures you own have, when this creature enters the battlefield and at the beginning of your upkeep, each player may put 2+1/+1 counters on a creature they control. For each opponent who does, you gain protection from that player until your next turn. You can't be targeted, dealt damage, or enchanted by anything controlled by that player. So the player gets 2+1/+1 counters, but if they use it, they can't attack you in any way. We have a third background. So maybe Ellen was a Candlekeep sage that was raised by noble giants. Because this is just noble heritage. It doesn't necessarily conflict. Or maybe Ellen had noble blood herself and she was raised by giants. Maybe her noble blood is what led the giants to like take her in. Because giants like humans, oh, I don't know about that. Fee, fi, fo, fun. Like, y'all know Jack. We ain't trying to have more Jacks running around up here. That's why we took the beans. Um, but anyway, this is also Empress energy, isn't she? Yeah, your parents taught you that strength can be nurtured and honed. The Empress is a noble woman. We didn't see the Emperor. The King of Cups is a nobleman. We also saw the Queen of Wands at the bottom of the deck for that full moon Aries with the Queen of Swords right behind her. You can't be targeted, dealt damage, or enchanted by anything controlled by that player, by anything. Her, whatever this noble heritage is, it puts it out of the reach of Zevlor. Zevlor can make it seem that the whole world is against a single person. But with noble heritage, nothing that Zevlor does can affect that person. So this is again the noble giants being like Zach. Jack needed the beanstalk to reach the giants, but we have this energy of elevation. The Ace of Cups, the hydraulic King of Thrones, is naturally reaching that. It makes it immune. There's an immunity here. The last card is a creature token. It's a token creature. It's a fairy dragon, and it has flying. Maybe the fairy dragon is noble, has noble blood. But I saw the fairy dragon. I was like, oh, because I was looking for dragons, right? But also, we just did the fairies, the fairyly quickies. We have two dragons, the lurking green dragon and the fairy dragon. But also, there's the dragonborn looter. And then we got a whole bunch of humans. We have Rashad Bashir, the legendary human monk. We have Ellen Hargreaves, Busybody, the legendary human peasant. And we have Alondel the seer, the legendary human shaman. We also have Zevlor, the legendary tiefling warrior. Maybe that's typecasting. Never mind. I take it back. I was like, a tiefling? Oh, yeah, that's definitely. So, yeah, let's get a star dragon to clarify all of this uh, trading card game nonsense. We have two: healing, restoring hope, and independence, carving your own path. 18 and 19, the sun and the moon. Healing was actually under knowledge. So the bottom of the deck was invention, and then knowledge, and then healing. So after you restore hope, you carve your own path, free of fear and free of all of the limitations that it presented. Basically, co signing this. You put the elder brain back in the box and you live your life free of all of those old pains, traumas, wounds, fears. Bottom of the deck is the self, gathering your power. Gathering your power, restoring hope, and carving your own path. I'd say it pretty nicely and succinctly wraps up all of this. Last mumbo jumbo hooey. I'm a Pisces. I can read anything. You don't have to be a Pisces to read anything. You just got to be open. Anyway, that was actually, every time I do this, I'm surprised at how cohesive they can be. Um, I feel like also there's a lot of natural enemies. It's like Zevlor is the natural enemy of humanity because it convinces one that the world at large is out to get them. But there's something about it was the rug of smothering. It was an artifact created by the Candlekeep Sage to combat Zevlor's like natural ability. And it's interesting because fear, it's like what fear does to the mind, to turn the mind against itself, basically, and to consume itself, the rug of smothering does to the fear. So this dragonborn looter might not actually be our bad guy, question mark. I mean, the real bad guy was the Elder Brain the whole time, don't get me wrong. The dragonborn looter was just a dragonborn trying to make a quick buck to put some food on the table because he's starving, right? People, I assume that most people don't become looters for fun. You know what I mean? I assume that most people become looters out of necessity. Or become rogues and thieves out of necessity. Most, I assume. I could be wrong. But now it's almost like the world itself was waxing in a certain direction. And maybe the Dragonborn rogue heard of artifacts that were capable of containing fear and stuff like that. And so, because of the state of the world, the Dragonborn rogue thought that it was something that the world needed, not knowing that those artifacts are in operation, you know, not knowing that they're containing and controlling what it is that they're controlling. And so, at its removal, it's like the elder brain resurfaces and everything wax. And again, this is almost like Libra season, how it comes out with the Three of Swords. Like the very first thing was the Three of Swords, pain, heartbreak, trauma, stuff like that. But it's like it comes to the surface, and in the resolution of it, it brings like a peace. It brings a, like in the resilience that's experienced, it brings some kind of more positive and more beneficial conclusion. So is the elder brain released to wreak havoc upon the earth? Yes. But in the defeat of the elder brain, it also remedies the problems that were pre-existing. It just gets real rough in the middle, in the in-between. That elevation I talked about with the one of those seven laws, I don't know, one of those seven hermetic principles. It's the one of not momentum, but it's like if the pendulum swings this way, the pendulum is going to swing that way. But the trick is to, when the pendulum begins to swing back, to elevate above the pendulum, to basically get off of the ride. And that kind of sort of like edges it, like the needle pushing whatever. It edges it more and more and more into like the positive without, and it's like there's this thing that stops it from going back, or at least from doing a full swing all the way back. But you got to be able to like, that's some self mastery right there. Anyway. That's what I got for Virgo season into Libra season. Didn't necessarily expect to pull out the Magic the Gathering cards today. Didn't even necessarily expect to be using the Star Dragons. I thought I'd just use the Astro Matrix Tarot, but here I am almost 3 hours later. Thank you, Clarinda, for joining me. I can't wait to catch up with you. Excuse me. And for the rest of you, I hope that... Is this empty? Oh, there's a little bit left. I hope that you have an excellent whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, and what you find. I also hope that you can allow yourself your own timing and your own pacing and your own knowing. And until next time, I will catch y'all's in the astrals. I'm kidding.